Hey everybody, welcome back to JT Channel and welcome to the Money in the Bank picks and predictions. If you watched my big WWE Lost the Plot video, you know at the end of that I said I may not do this video before like Saturday, but they did end up finishing out the Money in the Bank qualifiers last night on Raw. I did not know that was happening. I haven't been as persistent keeping up with everything as I usually am, so I just wasn't aware. But now that they have, I figured why not. And I know, like when they did Saturday night's main event, when I picked and predicted that show on SmackDown, they suddenly added a United States Championship match, women's United States Championship match. So that might happen this week too, since there's only 4 matches as of right now. So there's every chance that they're going to throw something else on there. Incredibly last minute, and that just kind of feels unfair to like wait for that, and it kind of feels... Hold on, wait for it. There's no watch, just scratches from a kitten. It kind of feels shitty for them to wait until the day before to throw in one last match. So I'm not going to zoom through this on like Saturday morning, because Saturday not only is Money in the Bank, but it's also the AAA, NXT, TNA, WWE, 24/7, 365, I-95 South. You're going to miss you, R-Truth. Show, Worlds Collide. And while that is going to be a great show, I don't even want to attempt to pick and predict those matches. So we're just going to do Money in the Bank based on the 4 matches that are on the card as of right now, as of after Monday Night Raw went off the air. If something gets added on SmackDown, we'll just discuss it in the review on Sunday. So I hope you guys are planning on watching both shows. I am for sure. I really want to see how WWE does with AAA and these matches, and we'll just go from there. I guess El Grande Americano has to perform twice. Anyway, so I have the matches written down in the order I want to talk about them, basically. And first thing I have written down is what I assume is the main event, which is the Logan Paul and John Cena against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's either going to be this or the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I want to talk about that first because I don't know how that's going to go. If that makes any, sense to anybody, because the next thing after this massive pay-per-view, I think, is SummerSlam in August. And if I'm wrong, it might be that show in July. I think in July they have like a bunch of shows in one weekend. It's like NXT and AEW and all this other stuff. So, but the next big event is SummerSlam. So you've got to imagine that Money in the Bank is like the starting point. It's like the road to SummerSlam. The road to WrestleMania. Excuse me. So you have to start building towards SummerSlam. And there's a million questions that we're going to get into as this video goes on. The biggest ones being, what are the championship matches going to look like at SummerSlam? You assume we're going to do Cody versus Cena on the main event of night 2, and maybe Cody wins his title back there. But is that what we do? What is the actual plan for SummerSlam? And I think this is going to be kind of a hint towards it. I don't know how this match goes. You would assume, and I keep saying assume because I don't want to try to guarantee anything on this channel, but you would assume that Cody and Jay have to get the win, and Cody's got to like pin Cena or something so we can start building towards their big rematch. Maybe they have 2 rematches. I can't remember what else is that weekend in July. I'm so sorry. I'm not all there right now. But whatever happens, you've got to think Cody and John Cena, the main event in night 2 of WrestleMania, they're going to main event night 2 of SummerSlam. So Cody's got to get the win here, probably pinning John Cena. Or do we not do that? Do we have Logan Paul and John Cena take the win? Maybe Logan Paul pins Jey Uso and we get a proper rematch between those two on Raw or down the road, while John Cena and Cody Rhodes do their thing on SmackDown, and Cody's got to re-earn his way. This one is really hard to call as far as prediction goes. Picks wise, it's also not easy, but I'm such a big mark, which isn't, it's not an insult anymore, for Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, that pick wise I probably am going with Jey and Cody. I think it would be fun for the audience and fun for me, and it's just going to be a good time for Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso pick up a big win. I do think Cody Rhodes should pin John Cena. If you have the heels win, this may be controversial, but I think you should have John Cena pin Jey Uso. I think if you're going to have the heels win, you should have Cena pin Jey, and then we should do something with that down the line, whether Jey Uso loses the world's title along the way, or we do a champion versus champion thing at Night of Champions in, where is that, Saudi Arabia? Maybe that's the show I'm thinking of in July. But either way, this is really going to set the stage for the next couple of months leading into that first two-night SummerSlam. So pick-wise, I think Jay and Cody should win. I think Cody should pin John Cena, and they should be like, boom, now I get my rematch. And one way or another, we get to the rematch at SummerSlam, and I don't want to predict too far, but I would assume at least that's where Cody wins the title back. So, following up on that, I have Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria on here for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. My pick and my prediction is Becky Lynch. This just kind of seems like the right way to go. You know, Lyra's been a great champion, but Becky put that stipulation on there of, if you win, I can never challenge you again as long as you're the champion. So, of course, she's probably going to win, and then Lyra's going to raise her hand, and Becky's going to be like, oh. My biggest thing about this, my biggest prediction about this is that I think we're going to get Bayley on Saturday. I think enough time has passed to bring her back and start building to Bayley versus Becky. I see a lot of people campaigning for Becky beats Lyra, cheating or whatever, and then we get the rematch at SummerSlam and Lyra beats Becky, and then Becky goes on to do something else. But if you're WWE, Bayley versus Becky Lynch is one of the biggest women's matches you could do. And Bayley's been gone since WrestleMania, since before WrestleMania. So I think this is probably the best way to go. You have Becky win by some shitty heel tactics. Maybe she cheats a bunch and then hits a manhandle slam 1, 2, 3. And then maybe Lyra raises her hand. This is me super predicting. This is me being a mark again. But maybe after Lyra raises Becky's hand, Becky beats her up, puts her in the disarmor. Bayley returns, and we start building towards that match. That's what I would do, personally. And as I said on that same video the other day, was it yesterday or Sunday? I think it was yesterday's video. I shouldn't be booking pro wrestling. But I think I'm not going to predict that Bayley comes back on Saturday, but I am going to predict that Bayley is coming back soon. Maybe she does come back on Saturday and she costs Becky Lynch. I don't like that, because then Lyra has to move on to something else, which I'm fine with. Don't get me wrong. But, I don't know. You got to have a really, really good plan in place for Lyra Valkyria if you're having her retain on Saturday. Because if she retains, then Becky has no more say. Even if Bayley costs her, Becky cost Bayley her spot at WrestleMania. So, Becky would have no more say. Sorry about the shaky camera. My daughter just ran into it. And we would do the Becky and Bayley feud, which is what I want, which is what we should do heading into SummerSlam. But then you have to have Lyra in a big feud as well. And there's lots of people for that big feud. Talk about the Women's Money in the Bank in just a second. But I do think, and I do believe that, you know, personally and business-wise, so pick and prediction, that you got to go with Becky Lynch. She'll elevate that championship even more. She'll probably continue this feud with Lyra. Maybe she'll do a couple of random defenses here and there on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever. Becky, you know, that's what she did before with the NXT Women's title. Don't turn it into the Women's US title, or don't go backwards either. You know, the Women's US title's fine. I didn't mean it like that. It's just we had a run with the Intercontinental Championship where all Lyra was doing was running into someone backstage and going, "You get a title shot." So let's not do that with Becky. But yeah, pick a prediction, Becky Lynch. I think she walks out as champion. Asterisk, I wouldn't be surprised if Bayley shows up before, during, or after. The next matchup on here is the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I had to write these down. It's Alexa Bliss, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Roxanne Perez, Naomi, and Rhea Ripley. This one is hard because any of these, 6 women can win this match, and I'd be like, that makes a lot of sense. If we are going with picks and predictions, my pick is Stephanie Vaquer. She is my favorite women's wrestler in WWE. That's right, she has completely dethroned Rhea Ripley. And as far as my prediction goes, I'm going to do a twofer here. And my predictions are Naomi or Rhea Ripley. Now, I know that's kind of cheating, but I'll explain. My pick is Stephanie Vaquer because I freaking love her. So, moving on. No, I'm just kidding. I remember when she wrestled for AEW for a really, really short time. I think she wrestled at like a Forbidden Door, and she wrestled on Dynamite or something once or twice. I don't remember. And it was one of those things that I did this in a video back then. My tips and tricks for people who don't know wrestlers. I don't know where I left off. I basically just looked her up when she debuted because I didn't know who she was, but she looked cool. I liked her presentation. This was when she was the brief stint in AEW before she even came over to NXT. And I just loved everything about her, and then I watched her on NXT, and now she's on Raw. I promise it's not that hard. You know, when the keyboard warriors come out in full force, when someone they don't know pops up on TV, who is this? I don't know. AEW did a terrible job. It happens all the time in pro wrestling. Not everybody knew who JC Mateo, aka Jeff Cobb, was, but the keyboard warriors didn't. Well, they did. The keyboard warriors exploded, and instead of getting mad at them, I usually just send them to Google. I just literally type in google.com and their replies. So anyway, I'm getting off track. Stephanie Vaquer is just one of my favorite wrestlers, and picks means my personal pick. I'm not going to stop being a pro wrestling fan and just enjoying the show. So I would like if Stephanie Vaquer became Miss Money in the Bank. I think that would really establish her. The frame rate dropped for a second. I don't know what that was about. But the same goes for Julia and Roxanne Perez, really. I'm not picking all three of them, but those are three like newcomers to the main roster that could really establish themselves if they won Money in the Bank. Personally, I just love Stephanie so much. If I were to put two picks, since I did two predictions, it would probably be Julia. Excuse me, I love them together. I love them against each other. You already know what's going to happen. At some point, Alexa, Naomi, Rhea, and Roxanne are all going to be down on the outside, and we're going to get Stephanie Vaquer versus Julia for a little bit. They'll probably team up. It's going to be great stuff. We'll get Stephanie and Rhea, Julia and Rhea, Roxanne and Alexa. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. As far as my predictions go, Rhea Ripley's like the most popular woman superstar on the roster right now. I know you guys had to see that. But also, Naomi is doing this great work as a heel. And it would be great to see her as Miss Money in the Bank. She's done such good work that having her be the heel Miss Money in the Bank, and she can cash in on, oh my god, Tiffany Stratton, I'm so sorry. And then we can move into like the Bianca feud and the Jade feud, maybe that triple threat that everybody wants that triple threat. So they're the two that make the most sense for me. You know, you put Rhea as Miss Money in the Bank, and then fans are always going to be like, oh, Rhea any day now. She can be Miss Mommy in the Bank. You could do that. I pretty much just sold myself on that there. And then, of course, her and Io Sky's feud is really, really good. So you give a chance for that to continue on. Because if Rhea does it, if a face does it, and Io Sky stays champion long enough, I can see Rhea challenging Io outright. Like cashing in, like SummerSlam. A few weeks before SummerSlam and being like, hey, I'm cashing this in against you. And then you get that great singles match down the line. So, and then the same thing goes for Naomi as a heel. I can see her coming out after Tiffany Stratton is like destroyed by Nia Jax again. And then just hitting like a moonsault 1, 2, 3. So, my pick for the Women's Money in the Bank is Stephanie Vaquer. I'm also cool with Julia. My predictions are Naomi or Rhea Ripley. In all reality, I don't care who wins that match. It's going to be really, really good, and I cannot wait to see what these women do to each other. I have a feeling we're going to see some crazy, crazy spots, especially from like Rhea to probably Roxanne. I can see Rhea really chucking Roxanne off a ladder, maybe even with a riptide or something. You heard it here first. And then the Men's Money in the Bank ladder match could be the main event due to who's probably going to win it, but we'll talk about it. This is LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Seth Rollins, El Grande Americano, Penta, and Andrade. Those last two names have me very excited. They're going to be doing some absolute nonsense in this match. My pick is Penta. This is no surprise for those of you who have watched my channel since the beginning when I started doing these kinds of videos, especially since Penta has arrived. He's one of my favorite wrestlers in the entire world. I've been watching him since I first started watching Lucha Underground, which has been defunct for a long time, so I watched him there. I watched him in all the other Mexican promotions he was in, and then AEW and now WWE. So I'm always going to root for Penta, depending on who he's facing. I would love, 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 love to have Mr. Money in the Bank on Penta's resume. He'd probably paint the briefcase something insane. I don't think he's going to win because I do think we're slowly building to a Lucha Brothers reunion. But we'll see down the line. But that's my pick. My pick is Penta. My prediction this is really hard because everyone is assuming it's going to be Seth Rollins, right? And that makes a ton of sense. It does. But what doesn't make sense is the fact that it's a Money in the Bank ladder match. So anybody can come in. It's a no DQ 6-man ladder match. And Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, this feud is still ongoing with CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso. I know Jey Uso's in the tag match, but that's kind of where the match order thing comes in, right? If you'll indulge me for a second, I just want to talk about this a little in depth. If you put that match on last, the tag match, and you put the men's Money in the Bank on first, you would have Jey Uso get involved with all the shenanigans with Seth Rollins and his group, because I really do see Sami Zayn and CM Punk getting involved. If you have all of them get involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match, that can cause Jey Uso to be in worse shape when it comes to the main event. Maybe you put it on second. Maybe you do Becky and Lyra first. If you put the tag match before the Money in the Bank ladder match, or, I'm sorry, the other way around, you put the Money in the Bank before the tag in any order, that puts Jey in jeopardy, and Cody can yell at him, and Gunther can laugh at him again, and then that, maybe that's why Jey picks up the loss in the tag match as the main event. So, it's really interesting to see which direction they go with the match order, especially if they add a fifth match. Because if it's a longer distance, then Jey has more time to recover. It's like, oh, he got involved in the ladder match at the start of the show, but he's had some time to recover. So he's not 100%, but he's not super bad. But if they put the ladder match in like second or third place, he gets involved, he gets hurt, and then the tag match is only a match or two later, then they're kind of screwed. So that's one way they could do it. But also, as I mentioned, CM Punk keeps getting involved in Seth Rollins' business. There is a less than zero chance that CM Punk gets involved in Money in the Bank on Saturday. That's how I feel about it. I think that it is such a guarantee that I am almost willing to bet my hair, and you can see how much I love growing my hair out. I am that serious. If CM Punk doesn't show up in the Money in the Bank ladder match to at least try to screw Seth Rollins, then we have entered the absolute phantom zone. But that's why it's hard to decide, who my prediction is. I guess my prediction is Seth Rollins, because you could have him climbing the ladder, then CM Punk comes out, then Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker come out, then Sami Zayn comes out, all hell breaks loose. Jey Uso probably gets involved. But maybe there's enough distractions to where Seth takes the briefcase. So maybe he wins. Otherwise, this is going to sound like it's really out of left field, right? Like super out of left field. But maybe, just maybe, we give it to Solo Sikoa, right? He's part of a decent storyline on SmackDown with Jacob Fatu and trying to get Jimmy Uso back and all this. If you put, let me slow down. You put the United States Championship on Jacob Fatu, right? You just introduced JC Mateo, and you have him doing his stuff. If you give Solo Sikoa the Money in the Bank briefcase, then you can kind of insert him into either the John Cena stuff or the Jey Uso stuff. Or maybe he cashes it in on Jacob. We've been teasing that breakup for a while now. And now with JC Mateo, it's even more teased. So maybe all the shenanigans are going down. Seth's getting his ass kicked. And Solo wins. That would also really, really piss off Seth Rollins. Because the Bloodline have once again done it. I guess you could give it to LA Knight, but I just don't think... WWE could pull a twist and give it to any of these guys other than Seth Rollins, and it'd be a surprise. It would be an absolute barn-burning shocker if Andrade or El Grande Americano won. Although, now that I've said that, you could give it to El Grande Americano, and you could do a fun little storyline where they find the briefcase with Chad, and Chad has to explain why he has it, while El Grande Americano doesn't. So you could go a lot of directions with this, but really the focus is on Seth Rollins. It really feels like it's 5 guys and Seth Rollins. Like, the other 5 superstars are great wrestlers. They're going to have good moments in this match. They're going to get close, blah, 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 blah. But it really does feel like Seth is going to win because it feels like we're going to do something with Seth Rollins in the world title at SummerSlam. Maybe he wins the title Maybe he wins the briefcase on Saturday after all the shenanigans. And then Jey Uso goes to Raw, retains his title, and then Seth comes in, cashes in, becomes the champion. That's kind of I think that's the biggest most popular rumor, suggestion, prediction is that on Saturday, Jay's going to get involved in way too many things. And then when he goes, Seth's going to win the Money in the Bank. And then when Jay goes into his title match on Monday, he is going to retain, but barely. And then Seth's crew is going to come out and Seth's going to cash in and win the world title. And then we move on to something else at SummerSlam. I'm sure Jay will get a rematch down the road. But then it'll be Seth versus who knows who at SummerSlam. Probably CM Punk. That feels like the most logical path. Is that between now and SummerSlam, Seth becomes world champion. And then him and Punk have some sort of gimmick match or just a world title match, whatever, at SummerSlam. So, I know I'm kind of getting long-winded about this, but it's kind of a good thing. I forgot where I was again. All I know is we're talking about SummerSlam, which is down the road. I'll go ahead and TLDR all this. My pick is Penta because I'm a huge Penta mark, and I think it'd be great to see him with the Money in the Bank briefcase. But my prediction is Seth Rollins or maybe Solo Sikoa. I feel like that would be a really good like thorn in the side of Seth Rollins. People don't want Solo Sikoa to win. He's not like the babyface choice by any stretch of the imagination. But I can just imagine how pissed Seth would be if not only he didn't win the briefcase, but he also lost it to a member of the Bloodline. So, again, it does seem kind of obvious, but we'll see. I don't know what kind of match could be added. I really hope they don't just do Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green again. They keep getting the short end of the stick. It's like, oh, this event only has 4 matches? Hey, Chelsea and Zelina, you want to fight for that title again? I do think there will be a 5th match added because it's a PLE, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it. Whatever it is, we'll just cover it on the review. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I'm definitely looking forward to Money in the Bank this weekend. The women's match feels like the biggest match of the weekend that has everyone's arms up. Like, again, you would assume it's like, oh, well, Rhea Ripley's the most popular, but you got all these up-and-comers, and you also have Naomi and Alexa Bliss. So it could go any direction. And with the men's, again, you would assume Seth Rollins, but there's going to be shenanigans. Like, there's 6 men in that match, and 4 more, potentially 5 more, are all going to get involved at some point. So I hope you all enjoy Money in the Bank, and don't forget the AAA show. I think it's like in the afternoon, like starting around noon. It's like a 3-hour AAA show with like AAA, WWE, TNA, and NXT. And then there's like a break, and then it's Money in the Bank. Again, I will not be picking and predicting the AAA show because it's just a showcase. And I don't know why that makes people mad. People are like, oh, this is like AEW Forbidden Door. It's just a stupid showcase. How is it stupid? A lot of Western audience members probably don't know what AAA is. Do you want WWE to start making storylines with wrestlers you've never heard of? You're just going to complain about that too. So that's it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below about your picks and predictions. I know this is the 3rd Talking Head video out of the last 4 videos I've made. I'll get video games back on the channel in a second. That's another video for another time. But yeah, I guess, like I said, just enjoy the events this weekend. And until next time, this is JT Channel. I am JT. And I will see you in the next one.